Just got back from a 16 or 17 day, I'm not sure, family adventure in the Toyota Tundra and the four-wheel camper over 1,800 miles covering in Northern California, the deserts of Eastern Oregon, and a great loop through central Idaho. It's now time to clean the camper. I thought we'd take an opportunity to do a bit of a review of the four-wheel camper and show you some of the accessories that worked and really helped make this family camping experience really work. My name's Juan Brown and you're watching the Blanco Lirio channel. Now typically I do these adventures on something like the Rally Raid CB500X adventure motorcycle, but we're using the four-wheel camper. This is the first time and the longest amount of time I've been able to spend on a long-range adventure with the entire family. So I was able to take the whole family along much of this very same adventure routes I've been able to experience solo on the motorcycle.
Well, I walk beside her, I am a better man. Well, I look to leave her, I always start her back again. Once I built an ivory tower so I could worship from above. Well, I climbed down to be set free. She took me in again. There's a big earth sun beating on the big people in a big hot world. When she comes to greet me, she's mercy at my feet. When I see a bitter charm, she just throw it back.
Now, these four-wheel campers can be pretty expensive, brand new, and they are built right here in California, Woodland, California. Finding them used is a little bit of a challenge. They do hold their value well. This is a Craigslist find I found last October. It was a package deal. This is a very well used 2001 Toyota Tundra, over 260,000 miles. And this is a 2004 Hawk model, well used four-wheel pop-up camper. So if you're the kind of camper that hates RVs, being stacked up like cordwood in an RV park, you really want to get away from it all, consider one of these options. We've been traditionally tent campers for years, and this is a very comfortable solution to getting off the ground and away from the tent. Julianne, what did you like about the camper?
That it's nice and warm and dry inside at night, and when you wake up, when you come out, you're not really wet like in a camper. Not a camper, but in a tent.
Yeah.
How sometimes in the morning there's dew all over the place, and then it gets stuck to the camper, and then
You mean stuck to the tent?
yeah,
To the inside of the tent?
yeah, and then you get wet.
And did you even sleep during the rain in this camper? Stayed warm and dry? Very good. All right, thanks, Julianne. So we ran this adventure very much like a motorcycle adventure, where we moved every day. We set up and broke down camp every day and moved to a different location to complete this giant loop. And in order to do this, using the same tools that I use on the motorcycle adventures, start out with your Benchmark Atlas state book. You can back that up with these great Butler backcountry discovery routes on the Butler maps, and then work it out with a Garmin GPS. So that means breaking down and setting up camp each day, and with a family of 4 that takes a little more time. It took me about 45 minutes to do the entire evolution. If you're traveling by yourself in one of these campers, they pop up very quickly. There's plenty of reviews online if you want to see how quickly and easily these campers pop up. And like a motorcycle adventure, that means you're going to come through some kind of a settlement or a town once every day or once every couple of days, so you'll be able to restock on all the essentials, especially ice. And since this was the longest run we ever made, over 2 weeks, we brought about a week's worth of laundry. Every individual in the family had their own bag with their own week's worth of laundry, and we did one laundry day in Ketchum, Idaho. So let me muck out the camper and truck, and I'll set up the basic camp and show you that. before we clean everything up, for a real-world review of what it's like camping for 2 weeks in the four-wheel camper. It's going to take you a little while to set up because in the cab here you need to make room for the family of 4. So that means all your stuff is stuffed into the back of the camper. Like this. But if you get a little help from the rest of the family, you can set up camp in about 30 to 45 minutes. If you're by yourself, you can set up camp in about 10 minutes. That means transferring all these bags back into the cab of the truck, keeping them clean. For leveling up the truck, use a couple of blocks. Just a thick and thin 2x and 1x blocks and some combination, and you can usually get the truck very level very quickly. Now some of you four-wheel camper folks may be appalled at my mounting of the bicycle up here on the roof like this. But as I said, this is a well-used camper and this roof is pretty well hammered. We'll talk more about that in a second, and some things to look for in a used camper, four-wheel camper. I also want to show you that you can, in fact, lift this camper up, even with the weight of the bicycle still on here, though it does take a little bit of effort. There's a total of 6 latches holding the roof down, and it's this latch just forward of the awning that you want to pay particular attention to, and especially if you're looking at a used one. Folks tend to forget this latch forward of the awning and proceed to lift the rear end of the roof up, bending, tacoing the roof right there. And that causes a crack and a leak in the roof. And that's very common in these older campers. So what do you do if you've got a cracked roof that leaks slightly in the event of a heavy rain? Carry a tarp. So let's pick this thing up, and keep in mind that the later model campers have gas shocks to help assist the lift of the roof. It's just that easy. Let me show you a trick on the forward one. So in and out of the camper all day does require some physical agility. And on the interior here, I've left the king-size bed fully deployed. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. The question was, can you raise the front of the camper up with the bed fully deployed? And can you leave some of your bedding on the bed? And the answer is yes to both. Everything below this line here needs to be clear to fold the roof. Yeah, you can even bring a model airplane if you set it up carefully so that it doesn't get crushed. Off the forward part, use your shoulder. Right there's a little bit tricky, and you're up. These bungee cords right here, they help pull the canvas sides in when you fold the camper down so the canvas ain't hanging out over the top of the roof. Now with this bed all the way out, it blocks access to this drawer somewhat underneath here and does take up some of your kitchen space. Take your bungees off. There's a clear plastic window there, complete with some bugs. And there is a screen window to keep the bugs out. If you keep the camper door closed, which is tough to do with 2 kids. But when you're moving camp every day, it's just easier just to leave this in the extended position. Here's how it retracts. And there it is in the shorter version. Now let's see where you put the kids. This green thing in the back here is just an extra air mattress. I found that by leaving it up against the wall there, it gives you a little thermal barrier against any cold air that might be encroaching on that forward wall there. Makes it a nice, cozy, warm bed up there. Now Jenny, she didn't like sleeping that far forward as if she felt a little confined, but I really enjoyed it back up in there. Right behind this bench seat is storage for a lot of things, like these chairs, tables, saws, pickaxes, Pulaskis. Or as the wife calls it, the axe murderer. More chairs. Oh yeah. Katana boy saw, handle all your firewood needs now, and I got a little hatchet too.
And jackets, it's the cold.
Jackets and warmies go back here as well, and you can easily access them from the door. Move that cushion and just flip this right over. Now you've got an instant bed, fits 2 kids very easily.
And even a mom and a kid.
One thing you may notice is there is no bathroom in here. You could get a cassette toilet like for a boat if you really needed to, but after all, this is still camping. So that involves a flashlight and a pair of shoes and a little bit of aerobics if you're upstairs here, hopping over the kids and out the door. Okay, here's the basic camp setup, and one of the coolest things about this setup is this awning. Both Jenny and I really appreciated having this awning. It allows you outdoor camping even in inclement weather. You can come out here in the rain and still enjoy the outdoors. The camper comes with a 2-burner stove, propane stove inside, and that's great for boiling your water and getting your coffee going in the morning. But you start cooking onions and garlic inside the camper, and the dang camper's going to smell like a used seafood store for a couple of days after some heavy cooking in there. So it's fun and easy to camp outdoors. Bring your Coleman stove and your portable table and set up your extensive cooking outside. We use the Coleman 1-day cooler that goes through ice in about 1 day, so we're going to upgrade that. And perhaps the coolest accessory this entire camp trip has been the Solo stove. This is a $300 can, stainless steel, turbocharged, as I call it, afterburning fire pit can. This thing burns wood so efficiently, so cleanly, and so hot that you save a lot of fuel, wood, and it's virtually smokeless. Why? Because it's reburning the gases through these rings here as the fire burns. A virtually smokeless fire. You could set this thing anywhere and it won't burn the ground underneath it. You can dump the ashes out at the end of the fire and pack this thing up and take it home real clean. You can also cook on top of it. A standard Weber grill fits right on there. You can continue to feed your fire as you're cooking on top of it. It's a little tricky because it's a hot fire and it's a far distance from the coals, but you can grill on top of that as well. And this messy grill will fit inside the very same bag that the Solo stove came in. And if you set this just outside of the awning, even in inclement weather, you can get a nice warm fire going, virtually smokeless, and not harm the awning or the camper. Afterburners. See the little holes around the rings of the top? The greatest thing about the Solo stove is once you're done with it, you put it right back inside this bag after you've carefully dumped out the ashes, the very few ashes that are going to be left in it after a whole night of burning. Pull the drawstring tight and throw it right back in the camper. No fuss, no muss. It's very clean operation. So it's a clean way of carrying a very efficient fire ring with you while you go camping. One of the things I like to do is camp near hot springs, and a lot of the hot springs are located here on the Benchmark Idaho Atlas, both hiking hot springs and pay-for hot springs, but a lot of them aren't. And this book, Hiking Hot Springs in the Pacific Northwest, pretty much covers all the hot springs that you can hike into in the northwest area here. Now, since this camping rig can go just about anywhere that four-wheel drive truck can go, that means you're going to be able to do a lot of what's called dispersed camping. You don't have to necessarily find a campground every night. Campgrounds are convenient because they got water and tables to spread out on. But dispersed camping can be a lot more fun. But a thing about dispersed camping is you got to be a clean camper. There's a big threat here in California that we may very well lose our ability to enjoy dispersed camping. That's camping out in the national forest outside of a designated campground area because of messy campers. Don't leave a mess. This is the inexpensive little $60 Traveler cargo carrier available at Tractor Supply. We got a new Tractor Supply store here in town, and it's worked remarkably well. I didn't think it would be as tough as it is, but it held up quite well. It makes a great step up into the camper and a great place to put cooler and firewood outside the camper. Now, if you want to haul a dirt bike on the back of your camper, you can have a traditional motorcycle carrier, or this Moto Mule is a really slick way to go. Real easy to get the dirt bike on and off of this. This also makes a great stand to change tires, fix inner tubes, that sort of thing on your bike while it's still mounted to the back of the truck. The one thing about the Moto Mule is it's heavy. It's probably 50 pounds, and by the time you put that in your dirt bike on the back of your camper, you got a pretty aft CG, so be careful driving above 70 miles an hour. Moto Mule, motomule.com. Inside the camper, you got a sink with a water pump and a good supply of water, a 2-burner propane stove, 5 gallons of propane outside, a 3-way refrigerator, AC, DC, or propane, but most of us, or at least I, don't use the refrigerator. I use it for more of a closet for for fragile things like drones or RC aircraft or extra food. And the best part about these campers, what keeps them so cozy and warm, is this built-in furnace and thermostat. Especially on cold evenings, you click it on in the morning when you get up, warm things up, and then by the time you get your coffee going, it's real warm and cozy in here. And maybe once in the evening before you go to bed, that thing clicks on and warms it up, and then you're set for the evening once you're all tucked into your bags. Plenty of storage in the various cabinets and underneath the bed. The camper is held onto the truck with these 4 turnbuckles. These 4 turnbuckles are properly placed so they got a nice angle to pull the camper down tight to the truck. And you want to periodically check these turnbuckles for tightness with a handy dandy bottle opener tool like this, and make sure they remain tight as you go bouncing over those miles and miles of washboard roads. You also keep these hatches closed to keep the dust out of the camper. The camper is powered primarily by one 12-volt battery located underneath the bench seat. Water tank under there. The ship's battery, or the camper's battery, is powered or is charged anytime the truck is underway. That camper battery can also be used to emergency start the truck. In other words, run it backwards to get the truck started. Also, anytime you plug in external AC power, that ship's battery is being charged as well. Monitor here gives you the state of the battery and the state of your water supply. Thermostat for the heater. And the camper comes complete with standard safety features such as a fire extinguisher and CO2 detector. Fan overhead is electrically operated as well. Plenty of LED lighting to light her up at night. The Honda generator, absolute overkill. You really don't need it. However, this is the Blanco Lirio Global World Network headquarters. We need power, man. We need to power 3 drone batteries, a laptop, multiple cameras, iPads, and that sort of thing. And you could do that with DC power, but it just takes so long. And I've only got 2 or 3 DC ports available in the camper. It's just quicker to do it this way. But under normal circumstances, you really don't need it. You don't need to be concerned about the Honda generator stinking up the inside of the camper when you're storing it. The fuel filler cap is designed to be closed, thus preventing any venting. Before operating the Honda generator, make sure it's on a fairly level surface for the oil pickup, and make sure you got something underneath the generator like a piece of cardboard or wood, as the air intake for the air filter is located on the bottom of the generator, so you don't want to be sucking up a bunch of dirt and sand. So starting the generator is a simple 1, 2, 3. 1, open the fuel vent. 2, put the choke on, even if it's warm. 3, put the switch on. choke off. I think I'm running out of fuel finally. And there she is in the eco mode, and that's how noisy it is. If you really load her up electrically, she'll sound like that. But in the eco mode, that's plenty of amperage to charge most all of your electronics. But if you run a Mr. Coffee coffee pot, it's gonna run this thing hard. Another neat feature of the Honda generator, if you're out in the outback and you leave a dome light on and you completely flatten the battery on your truck, it won't start. You can pair jumper cables and you can put a bit of a charge, enough of a charge onto your truck battery to get her going again with the Honda generator. And if there's one thing I can't stand in the generator is having somebody running his generator all night long. Unless you're on some kind of an oxygen system or something, there's no reason to be running these generators in the campgrounds. When you get ready to leave, you're going to want to run yourself through a little checklist. Make sure the lid of the overhead fan is closed. The solid windows are closed tight. The master electrical switch is turned off. Propane is off. Drain cap reinstalled. Doors and hatches are closed. The awning is fully retracted with the travel locks exposed. And all the latches latched. Secure all your external loads and you're ready to go find your next campsite. On this family adventure I put Julianne in front of the camera, so Julianne should soon have a complete video or series of videos of this Idaho adventure up soon. See you here.
When she comes to greet me, she's mercy at my feet. When I see her bitter charm, she just throw it back again. Once a dirt and ugly grave to find a bitter land. She just smiled and laughed at me and took her blues back again. There's a big hurt son beating on the big people in the big hard world. There's a big hurt son beating on the big people in the big hard world. Once I stood to lose her when I saw what I've done. Bound down through 80 hours of her garden in the sun. So I tried to warn her, tried to see her weep. For the days and for the nights, and it's still coming down on me. There's a big hurt son beating on the big people in a big hard world. There's a big hurt son
Almost there. Another quarter mile, Pete.